Welcome back. Let's return now to our top story, the BRICS Summit, which wrapped up today in Brasilia. To dive even deeper into how the BRICS members are working together, I have Paulo Sotero, Director of the Brazil Institute at the Wilson Center, joining us now live from New York. Good to see you, Paulo.
Good to see you.
So let's start with what you consider the highlights or surprises from this year's gathering.
I think that the important news from this summit is that it happened. At one point, as highlighted in previous reports in this program, President Jair Bolsonaro took positions that put actually the viability of the summit in question. That was overcome by visits, effort by Brazilian officials, especially the Vice President of Brazil and other officials, and the summit was prepared. Nothing spectacular. It was a low-key summit, but focusing on multilateralism. That is at the very foundation of Brazilian diplomacy. So it is positive that the summit in Brasilia highlighted or reaffirmed the importance of multilateralism and international cooperation as a way of solving problems.
So then how do you think the focus and the tone of this year compares to previous BRICS meetings?
I think it was kind of subdued for the reasons I pointed out. There were the issues that were completely absent, like the regional conflicts in Latin America and in South America. Why? Because obviously Russia, China, and India had different positions from the host country, or from particularly President Bolsonaro, who is a very conservative politician. And so since they could not agree on anything, they avoided the topic. I think it was a efficient way of doing the summit, focusing on economic issues. Brazil is next to become president of the BRICS Bank and to preside supposedly an expansion of the BRICS Bank, which is very positive, channeling resources and an increasing number of members of the BRICS Bank. Apparently there is a proposal to expand the membership to development projects to the benefit of the four nations and other nations in their regions. Brazil is not particularly prepared at this point to benefit from that effort, but it's up to Brazil now to lead the bank. A Brazilian will start a term there in Shanghai next year, and it's an opportunity. Brazilian economy has lots to gain from a better relationship with the BRICS nation, and especially with China.
And then to that point, we did see a more pragmatic approach to China from President Bolsonaro regarding Brazil's relationship with the country. How would you characterize that economic relationship versus, say, Brazil's relationship with the other BRICS countries?
Well, in case of Brazil, it's essential. 10 years ago, China became the largest trading partner of Brazil. Since then, I think the quality of that relationship has improved. From a supplier of commodities, Brazil is now becoming a recipient of Chinese investments in transportation, in energy, more recently in technology, so logistics. So that is very positive news for Brazil. Brazil-China should intensify that relationship. Brazil needs to modernize its economy, needs to open up its economy actually, and could benefit from a sort of a more efficient, a closer dialogue. But it's up to Brazil to reform its economy so it can really benefit from that relationship with China, and hopefully also with India and the other BRIC countries.
And looking ahead, I mean, we saw that President Xi also spoke about BRICS countries pushing for a new round of technological and industrial revolution in the face of new global challenges. Just quickly, how do you see that being received by the rest of the world as competition heats up, and so does protectionism?
Well, today you have this tug of war between the two largest economies or the leaders, the United States and China. Brazil is put in a very awkward position in this, although President Bolsonaro has stated a preference for closer relationships with the United States. In actuality, the functioning relationship or the more promising relationship right now, because of economic priorities and realities, is the relationship with China. I think that the idea of using multilateral platforms, and I work for an institution that celebrates Woodrow Wilson, a pioneer of multilateralism. That idea is as present as ever, even though there are obviously differences of opinion in Washington about how to do that. It's, in a sense, very positive news that the emerging superpower, China, has embraced multilateralism. I think this is something that Brazilian society, Brazilian economists, and in general celebrate.
Paulo Sotero there, director of the Brazil Institute at the Wilson Center.